My name is Satinder Bajwa, mostly known as Baj in the squash world. I'm the managing coach of Jansher Khan, the world champion and world #1 squash player. During the course of the video, we'll be showing you what makes Jansher such an exceptional player. Jansher himself will be revealing parts of the game that he considers are important. We'll be covering all aspects of the game that will make you a better player.
A key ingredient to playing squash is your level of fitness. Get fit to play squash, don't play squash to get fit. A commonly used saying, but one that is absolutely true. And once fit, changing your game is that much easier.
In the beginning, like when I win the World Cup in '87, from that time, I just playing, I just believe in fitness, that time, and I'm playing my all game in fitness. But if you see me now, I probably 75% change, in my game. What I do, I just playing short game, and I think I improve a lot my volleys and shots, in shorts games. Before I playing, I do 20-25 minutes warm up, which I do first light running and light exercises. And side to side. Shoulders, to warm your shoulder, neck. Warm up your leg. Then after that, I do secondly jogging.
Yeah, jogging.
And high, exercises. And then thirdly,
heavy stretching.
Heavy stretching and just fast running.
And fast running to finish off with.
To finish off it.
And of course, lastly, obviously you build up your heart rate before the match. You do some the light running at first and heavy running last.
Yeah.
You do that, you're literally sweating.
Yeah.
Which is important, of course, because your first time you get on the court, you already have your first wind,
sure,
so to speak. So you always do that every time.
Yeah, every time.
Right.
Jansher's pre-match routine never varies. Light running, light exercises, followed by jogging, and to finish, heavy stretching and fast running. Not everyone can spend 20 to 25 minutes before their game on warming up exercises. But you must do some form of stretching and warm up to avoid injury and also to have a better game. Like all racket sports, squash has benefited from the technological advances in equipment, particularly in the development of footwear. Leading players have long since recognized the value of good shoes because of the extreme demands placed on footwear in terms of rapid or exaggerated movement.
I work with high-tech very closely, and I think with this level, shoes is very important. The shoes must be very good. They should move as part of your foot.
High-Tech, the world's leading squash shoe manufacturer, have invested a lot of research in understanding what makes the best squash shoe. Their very latest design is the High-Tech Adrenaline Pro, worn and endorsed by Jansher, which is the world's lightest squash shoe, yet at the same time is one of the toughest. When buying a squash shoe, it is important to look for a shoe with all-round durability. Strength in the toe and heel areas is critical. But the shoe must also provide a ventilation system to stop the foot being uncomfortable and overheating, as is seen here with the open weave mesh nylon in the toe. It is also important to choose a shoe that holds the foot in the correct position throughout the aggressive footwork necessary in squash. In this case, the supportive High-Tech Dynafit tongue achieves this. The combination of strength and lightness must also be apparent in the lacing, on the toe of the shoe to stop the drag, in the toe box itself to reduce the risk of toe and nail problems, and also on the heel counter of the shoe, which is essential to the correct positioning of the heel. Probably the most important part of the shoe is the midsole, which must give the best protection from the jarring forces and shock waves subjected to the heel and foot. In the case of the Hi-Tech Adrenaline Pro, the entire midsole is manufactured from compression molded EVA, a material that is widely accredited as representing the most cushioning of any midsole composition. In addition, Hi-Tech's exclusive quadriform system is aimed specifically at absorbing and distributing shock within the shoe. The final point to note is that the squash player should always choose a non-marking outsole, preferably made from gum rubber. To summarize, the choice of the correct shoe is crucial. It will improve comfort, enhance your game, and protect against injury. Now, racket improvements have also been instrumental in raising the standard of all players from beginners to professionals, and head have been the leading force in this development.
The first 100 years of the game of squash saw all the players using the traditional wooden rackets. In 1981, we saw Head bring out the first graphite racket. This added a new dimension to the game with exceptional power that graphite allowed the players to enjoy. The second most important development was the size of the head. The larger head, as we see here, was developed by Head, and as a result gave a larger sweet spot. This made the game somewhat easier to play and saw the introduction of a lot of juniors playing around the world. The most significant and recent development has been the lightness of the rackets, with Head now having the lightest racket in the world, 120 grams, which possibly is why Jansher Khan is the undisputed world number one.
The basic shot of the game is the straight length drive played on the backhand and forehand. The three main elements to executing the shot are the backswing, hitting through the ball, and the follow-through.
What you're watching right now is the forehand drive in squash. Jansher Khan is hitting the ball to a good length and moving back to the tee. Every ball is bouncing behind the service box or somewhere near. This makes the shot difficult to retrieve. It's very important to get good length and keep the ball tight on the wall. Jansher's positioning, left foot is in front and is facing the side wall to hit this particular shot. What would you say, what are you looking for when you're hitting a forehand drive?
Well, the things, when you're playing straight, and that's come to the near to the wall, your opponent can't take the ball from the front, and you can't attacking, because it's near to the ball.
It has to go to the back.
So your straight, very, very important in your game.
And it shouldn't touch the side wall. If it comes out, then you're in trouble.
Yeah,
right?
because then your opponent will kill the ball anywhere in the corner,
As with the forehand, the backhand straight drive should be hit tight to the side wall, bouncing behind the service box into the back corner.
Here's an example of a bad length when an opponent hits the ball and it comes straight back at him. It's a situation where even if he gets out of the way, his opponent can be in an attacking position, or if he doesn't get out of the way, it's a let or a stroke. And that's when the rules come into it, but you can give away a point. If the ball hits the front wall, catches the side wall like that one, that can also cause the same problem as the ball hit straight back at yourself.
If I give a loose ball to my opponent, he just, with this ball, he's playing anywhere, drop, and, anywhere in the court, And if I give tight, so he can't attacking with these balls, and I think that's more easy to me to handle that center, And if you handle the center, it means you win the point,
Win the point. So what you're saying that if you hit a tight length, either forehand or backhand, and by hitting it tight, you can actually determine what the response will be.
Yeah.
Because you know that he can't hit a cross court.
Sure.
Because it's tight. You know that maybe he can hit a boast or just a straight drop. So you actually cover the court and cover what you expect.
Yeah.
But if the ball is loose, you don't know what to cover.
Yeah.
The ideal cross court should hit the side wall or bounce behind the service box. If you notice, every ball that Jansher is hitting is coming behind the service box. That means it's going to cause a lot of problems for your opponent. Again, a cross court is hit with the intention of keeping the tee. So Jansher is hitting the ball, it's fairly deep, it's ending up in the corner, and he can then come to the tee. Racket preparation is the same as for the forehand straight drive. The other thing is, when the ball is coming as wide as that, behind the box, it's difficult for your opponent to volley. A few more examples here. Notice the consistency. Well, that is the ultimate shot, because I think you always wish for one of those, don't you?
Well, if you're playing good cross, you know, your opponent can't
Cut it off.
Cut it off, you know, and can't take early, you know.
So you stop him from volleying the ball?
From volley, yeah.
Okay.
And he must go in the back. If you go in the back for the ball, I will take the front, you know, and playing anywhere, you know.
So you're always aiming for somewhere over here?
Yeah.
So that if your opponent's on the tee, it's difficult for him to volley.
Yeah.
So you try to aim for that exact shot that you just hit, dead nick. But basically that's the right idea, is to get the ball that deep.
Yeah.
Again, like the forehand, the ball or the backhand should be hit so it bounces behind the service box, and ideally, if it can actually touch the sidewall. If you notice Jansher, he's hitting the ball and returning to the tee ready for the next return. He can do that as long as his cross court is deep and wide. The ball is coming behind the service box. This is a perfect cross court right there, which means it's hard to hit a length on. Another good one. So all these shots are forcing me to play the sidewall, which is exactly what you want. Okay. So again, I guess it's similar that to hit a straight or a cross-court shot. The difference between the drive on the backhand is that on the forehand is slightly, exactly in line, but on the backhand is slightly in front,
Yeah.
for a drive. So can you demonstrate that? Right. One more. Okay. And if you were hitting a cross court, what would you do? Okay, so your drive is sort of about here, and your cross court is over there.
Jansher's tip for all drives, whether cross-court or straight, is always to pick a target point on the front wall at which the ball should be aimed. It is by hitting the correct target points that the player can best direct the ball to the desired part of the court.
The ideal serve in squash is the lob serve, and should be hit high on the front wall, and it should slightly catch the side wall, as that one. Key to the lob serve is to catch the side wall so your opponent has difficulty in volleying the ball. Ideal. There it is again. It should catch the side wall somewhere about here. A good player will always catch that point every time.
The high lob serve is very effective in most situations, but there are times when the low hard serve is more effective. The low hard service is aimed to hit the front wall just above the cut line and then touch the side wall just behind the service box and about ½ a metre from the floor.
Harder slice serve is hit lower on the front wall and still catching that same area. Once again. So the hitting point is still the same, but the serve is hit slightly lower on the front wall, or catching at that point again. Sometimes a player has to put in a surprise serve just for variance and just to catch the guy where he's expecting the serve to come over here, but the serve actually comes at his body and it makes it difficult. This serve is used as just a variety to keep the opponent on his toes. Okay, one of the most important things when you're serving is to move to the tee after you've served, as Jansher is going to show you now. Great. So obviously, we've covered everything, Jansher. We've covered the 3 serves, and we've covered moving to the tee and where to hit the ball on the front wall. What is the execution? What do you do to make sure that you get a good serve?
Well, when I serve, before that, I just think and play, the balls properly, so the ball is going in the corner and where I want, If I give service to my partner easily, he will hit, anywhere in the corner. But I'm trying to play the service and make sure the service is going in the corner.
A forehand service for a club player is the safest serve. But use the harder one as a surprise, or after a long and exhausting rally when it may catch your opponent off balance. Jansher's tip here is to remember that the server always has the initiative. Take your time and be sure to think carefully before hitting each service. The main aim of the serve return is to move your opponent from the middle of the court into the back corner. The standard shot is a straight drive close to the side wall and to a good length. The ideal position for the service return is just behind the service box corner. From there you can step in to attack a short ball if an opponent hits a poor serve. If, however, the serve is well directed and comes deep, you are well placed to move back with one step. You will find this is also a good position to deal with the hard service down the middle.
Basically, Jansher is now about to demonstrate the basic service return, which is furthest away from me as the server. So he hits the ball high up above the red line and gets it deep in that corner. There. It's an ideal service return. The ball is bouncing behind him and he's able to take the tee position, forcing me as the server back into the corner. Wonderful. sometimes you can return cross court. And when you're returning the cross court, again, you want to hit the ball so it hits the side wall behind me as the server, making it difficult for me to return the ball. Yeah. So the cross court should be wide of the opponent who's serving and moving to the tee. That's a perfect cross court return.
You can't get it.
That's the one.
On the backhand, the same guidelines apply. Play deep to get your opponent behind you and control the front of the court. The main fault for most players is playing the wrong return. If the serve is good, return it straight. The cross-court return is best used to return a really good service or for variety when playing against a right-handed player on your forehand side. A tip that Jansher offers is to play the cross-court return as if you were serving the ball back to the server, aiming high on the front wall and deep on the side wall. An effective shot for returning serve is the straight or cross-court volley, because it takes time away from your opponent and makes it hard for him to get back to the tee. It's also one of the standard shots to play during a rally.
The volley drive is hit at the same point as the forehand drive, trying to get the ball deep so your opponent has to take it from the back. The execution is important. Jansher's racket is up higher than it is for the drive. It's the racket preparation and a shorter swing. It's giving him that shot. Wrist is still controlled, not too loose. Jansher's racket preparation is ideal for a volley. Racket is up high, and the ball is taken above just around about the shoulder height. Good. Perfect. So obviously, Jansher, when you're hitting the volley drive, you're doing the same thing as for the basic forehand and backhand drive, getting the ball behind the service box. But the difference being that you're hitting the ball early, giving your opponent less time. So you're attacking more than you are with a drive which is bouncing.
Well, if you're playing good volley, and that's going in the corner and you're in the wall, same thing, your opponent can't take from the front, and I think that's also a very important shot in your game. In your game.
So the volley is important, but if you're playing it as a drive, there's no difference to the volley to the forehand drive.
Yeah.
But do you take as much swing? You take a shorter swing when you're volleying than you do for the drive?
Well, I'm just trying to take a short swing, because if you take long swing, your opponent knows where you're playing,
And you lose control.
And you lose control. So I'm trying to just short, swing and playing the shot.
Playing the shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
A common error that many club players have with this shot is that they tend to break their wrists as they hit the ball, which causes it to be mistimed. Jansher's tip is to play the volley as a percentage shot. Try not to overpower it, because as you're taking time away from your opponent, you will be in a commanding position anyway.
Oh, severe pressure though. High quality squash of the first order.
Jansher worked this rally so beautifully with the final little drop shot that left Dittmar for dead.
Oh, too good. Absolutely middled the overhead forehand volley.
Oh, that was absolutely perfection. That was a real heartbreaker for Dittmar.
As we see another very tight shot from Jansher Khan on the backhand wall, and Brett Martin unable to chip it off the wall.
Yes, he got past him.
Jansher Khan is one of the greatest squash players of all time and has been suggested by his fellow professionals the player of the century. He has been world #1 since 1991, World Open champion 7 times, and British Open champion for 5 consecutive years. But how did Jansher get started?
I started when I was 11 years old. Squash is my family game, and my older brother, he was world #2 that time, and when he's playing in Peshawar, where I live, so when I see him, I start, interest from there,
And his ambitions?
Well, my ambition to make 10 World Cup and 7 to 8 British Open, and because Jahangir won the British Open 10 years, and my wish to win World Cup for 10 years and British Open for 7 to 8 years,
The Boast is a shot that is played directly off the side wall, either defensively from the back of the court or as an attacking shot from ahead of the service line, and is played so that it dies on the second bounce near the opposite side wall.
Jansher's playing the Boast shot, which is a shot played off the side wall from the back of the court. It's played at times when you're in a defensive situation and there's nothing else you can do in order to get the ball to the front wall. So Jansher, how do you play the Boast? I mean, how does it differ from the drive?
Well, when I'm playing straight shot, I will just go that size.
Okay, so that's for the straight drive.
For straight.
And if you play the Boast?
When I'm playing Boast, it will be that position.
Okay, so you're basically saying that the shot is very similar to the drive. It's just that the body mechanics are changing. You're hitting it here to get the straight shot. In order to hit the Boast, you're facing the back corner, and the ball is then hitting the side wall to give you the Boast. Thank you.
For the backhand Boast, you again need to face the corner to play the shot. And remember, there is always the chance you might catch the nick and make an unexpected winner, as Jansher does here. An attacking Boast is generally played as a volley from the front of the court when your opponent is behind you.
The basic concept is, from both sides, that when you volley Boast, the ball should hit the middle of the front wall so that it's dying on the second bounce as it reaches the other side of the court. how do you play the Boast from the front?
When I'm playing the Boast from the front, I take ball slightly late.
So you're taking the ball slightly late to give you the angle into the sidewall to play the shot.
The attacking Boast can also be played from a short ball at the front of the court, as Jansher demonstrates here. Whichever Boast you are playing, try not to think of it as a difficult shot. Jansher's tip is to imagine that you are playing it as a forehand or backhand drive, with the target points being on the side wall instead of the front wall. When you have mastered all the basic shots covered so far, the drives, the volleys and the Boasts, you can take on the front corner shots. The best example of these is the straight drop shot. This shot is best played from the middle of the court to move your opponent to the front of the court. The execution of this shot is much the same as for the straight drive, but this time there is very little follow-through.
Important thing about playing the straight drop is knowing when to play it. For instance, you wouldn't want to play the straight drop from the back of the court. It has to be played from the middle of the court, as Jansher is demonstrating. Nice shot.
Club players often make the mistake of playing the drop shot as an outright winner and therefore don't concentrate on moving to the correct position. And they also try to play it too close to the tin for no reason. The cross-court drop is a useful variation, and Jansher is a master of this shot. This is a more aggressive shot as it is aimed towards the nick on the sidewall and can be played as an outright winner. The lob shot is used to change the pace or tempo of the game during a rally, and especially useful when you are being stretched towards the front of the court. Ideally, when you play the lob from the front of the court, it should be played cross-court because it allows a greater margin for error. If you play it along the side walls, the ball could easily go out and it doesn't give you as much distance to stretch your opponent.
That is exactly where the ball should hit the side wall. A lob is in effect almost like a good serve. This is the ideal position where you want to try to aim your lob to hit. Along the side here, bouncing down and missing the back wall.
To play the lob, you must bend and get under the ball, keeping the wrist firm.
We've covered the basic shots. We've covered the forehand backhand drive, forehand backhand volley drive. We've covered straight drop, cross court, etc. The basic so-called bread and butter shots. And we've also covered some defensive shots like the Boast and the lob and so on. So obviously it takes us now to the next stage, which is now the attacking stage or the more advanced stage. When do you attack the ball and go for the kills, Jansher?
Well, when my opponent is far than me, and when I have a chance, when I get the ball in the front, and my opponent in the back and he's somewhere like far than me,
out of position.
Out of the position, then I'm trying to kill the ball, But if he's in center, if he's with me, I'm just trying to playing my basic game, cross, drop, and straight,
Right. So you keep your basic game if your opponent is in position. If you feel that you got your opponent deep enough, you go for the kills.
Yeah.
So let's show some kills.
Sure.
A kill using more power than a drop shot is perhaps the most effective way of finishing a rally when your opponent has hit a loose shot. There are different types of kills, and they can be played with slice or with a closed face, in both cases striking hard down on the ball. The idea of the straight kill is to keep the ball parallel to the sidewall and bounce twice as quickly as possible. The cross-court kill is played in a similar way and is particularly useful when the ball is loose towards the front of the court. Again, the ball should die quickly, having bounced twice before the service line. Volley kills are the ultimate attacking shots and are also very dangerous as there is little margin for error. The straight volley kill should be played when the ball is at a comfortable height, often close to the side wall. Cross-court volley kills should be played from an attacking position in the middle of the court with the intention of seeing the ball die in the nick. The routines being practiced by Jansher and Baj are a very good way of perfecting your kill technique.
We'll see Jansher in action just to highlight some of the points that were made in the coaching video. He's now playing his nephew, who's an Asian junior champion, and hopefully we'll be able to highlight some of the points that we covered. We covered the cross-court in the game. If you notice, the cross-court from Amjad was not as wide, and Jansher was able to volley that ball for a good length and win the point. On the other hand, Jansher's width from the cross-court does not allow Amjad to finish the ball. Here's a classic execution on the cross-court drop. It's a good example how to get the ball deep and then finish it from a loose ball. As we covered the strong points of Jansher's game, this point highlighted the strength of his game is being able to retrieve the ball almost from almost anywhere. That drop there was the drop that we covered in some of our basic shots of where you should be able to play the ball to the front and move your opponent forward. And Jansher does that very well. It's a classic cross-court service return, wide and bouncing on the other side behind the service box. classic return from a boast, a defensive boast, is a drop, and that was illustrated there by Jansher. Classic illustration of why a cross-court is so dangerous. If played at the wrong time, you will lose the point because you keep the court, you open up the court for your opponent to finish the ball. Then in that last point, the winning shot was set up by a good lob. It's a lob from the back. It's a difficult shot to do, but it can be played if you know where you want the ball to go and what you want it to do. And Jansher has done that very well throughout the course of this game. That's it. In your opinion, for an average player, what's the advice that you would give an average player?
Well, my advice, stick with your basic game, and if you want to improve your squash, for that you need to play a lot of squash and do hard work. If you want to improve your shots and drop, killing drop, volleys, for that you need more hard work and court work.
More practice.
Yeah.
Thank you.